What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished their Christmas Day home matchup in Week 17 of the 2024 NFL season against the Kansas City Chiefs. And let me just tell you, first things first, Merry Christmas. Hope you're all having a good, wonderful day with family, unwrapping presents, eating lots of food, feeling blessed, feeling loved all around you. Football-wise, not feeling the Christmas spirit, that is for sure. I hope that Krampus and the Grinch go around and put coal in every Pittsburgh Steelers stocking, because Pittsburgh lost, and not just lost, but looked pretty pathetic today, playing at home against the Chiefs. Positive things, Pittsburgh got a little healthier. TJ Watt once again was out there. Deshaun Elliott came back from injury. Ogunjobi came back from injury. George Pickens came back from injury. The only big injury we had on this team coming into this game was Joey Porter Jr. Our starting corner was out. So we got mostly healthy and got a bunch of guys back from injury. That was a positive. Other than that, the positives kind of stopped there. Look, going to bring some both levity and kind of understanding, but also some honesty on both sides into the situation. Coming into this game, we knew Pittsburgh wasn't going to win, right? You look at the schedule, you can almost pretty accurately tell what the easy wins and easy losses are going to be, right? And you know coming into the season, this was the hardest stretch of the year. You get Philadelphia, Baltimore, and KC, three of the best teams in the league, in a matter of 11 days, back-to-back games. You know you're beat up, you're tired, they're very good. You're meant to lose those games for the most part. You know how that shakes out. Pittsburgh doesn't beat Mahomes. KC came into this game 14-1. You know they're going for the first seed. You know they're going to beat us. That being said, the way in which you lose matters. Your competitive nature, your big plays, your keeping it competitive, your resiliency, you're getting turnovers, you're getting pressure, you're getting big plays downfield. Those things matter. And to lose to KC, again, best team in the NFL, best record, not the biggest deal. But coming off of two straight losses and looking as bad as we have, coming into this game, you wanted to see some resistance on both sides. You wanted to see competitive nature. Kansas City, in spite of having the best record in the NFL, is more beatable this year than they have been in the past. Yes, their record is great, but Kelsey's gotten a lot older. Mahomes has been a little banged up. They've had a lot of injuries to wide receivers. They've won a lot of close games this year. The defense has not looked as good. The referees have given them a lot of favorable calls. There's a lot of things coming into this game that makes KC look beatable. And Pittsburgh, coming off of two losses where they didn't look hopeful at all, needed to come back strong today and at least be competitive, and they weren't that. So yes, I had coming into this game, Pittsburgh was going to, the record at the end of the year of the regular season, I had Pittsburgh at 10-7 with an 11-6 possibility. That is exactly where they are right now. They are at 10-6, and they could either be 10-7 or 11-6. So they could be exactly where I predicted, almost game for game. But that being said, there's no hope in this team right now. When Pittsburgh plays this bad on both sides of the ball and never seems to be competitive and has no chance from the opening kickoff, and you're immediately just waiting for the game to be over, these games are not fun to cover. I like to be able to break down positives and negatives and be an optimistic, positive fan who leads with a lot of good. There's not a lot of good on this team right now to lead with. And coming in mostly healthy, there's no excuse for such a blowout. Pittsburgh loses this game 29-10. Kansas City comes down on the opening series, blows past us, easy touchdown. They're running some good little behind-the-line screens, running some good trick plays, getting Kelsey open. Middle of the field seems wide open. Pittsburgh comes down on their second drive, gets a really, really good drive going. Russell Wilson starts to kind of show the holes in the KC defense. And yes, they've been improving the past couple of weeks, but overall, it's not a great defense. They're very middle of the road, very average. Pittsburgh had some opportunities today. They come down, second possession, very good 43-yard George Pickens, beautiful moonball catch, one-on-one down the field. Pickens out-physicals a guy, taps the toes like he does. Jaylen Warren has three consecutive very good runs, gets into the end zone for a touchdown, called back on a Darnell Washington penalty. So then Russell Wilson has like a 2nd and 13, throws an interception, bad pick, not quite sure who the interception was on. It looked to me initially like Russell Wilson. The commentator said no, but Wilson forces what looks like a double coverage pass. Looks to be a little underthrown, miscommunication somewhere. The announcers again said the wide receiver was at fault. It looked to me like Russell Wilson. So we take the touchdown off the board. Wilson throws the pick. KC comes down and gets a touchdown on the next drive. That pretty much kills the momentum. Pittsburgh does go into the half only down 13-7. The defense holds up a little bit. Second half, not much on either side of the ball to be excited about. Pittsburgh goes down 14 points in the second half for KC. Just 3 points in the second half for the Steelers. Let's get to some stats. I got some stuff to do. It's Christmas. Russell Wilson overall, not very positive. 23 of 37, just 205 yards on 23 completions. 205, no touchdowns and one pick. Like I said, the interception could have gone on either person. I think that the pass was going to Freiermuth. I'm not quite sure, but it was an underthrown ball with two guys reading. I guess the safety didn't go for the fake and was right in the middle of the field. So it was a nice interception. Bad on Russell. Russell, the positive did run the ball positively today. He knew when to pull it down, get outside the tackle box, and run for first downs. 6 carries, 55 yards, and a rushing touchdown getting around the edge. For Pittsburgh's touchdown on their third drive of the game when they started to get some offense going for three consecutive drives. So Russell Wilson only 205 yards, no passing touchdowns and a pick, but did have 55 yards on the ground with a rushing touchdown. So Russell Wilson's rushing and pulling the ball down at the right times and then knowing when to slide seems like his best game the last couple of weeks after last week's fumble. Running the ball overall was positive for us today. That was our biggest bright spot on offense. In addition to Russell Wilson's 55 yards and a touchdown, we had Najee Harris with 13 carries for 74 yards and Jaylen Warren with 11 carries for 71 yards. So 74 Najee, 71 Warren, 55 Russell Wilson. The bulk of those were in the first half. Jaylen Warren was the leader in the first half. Najee wasn't doing much. Warren was getting the spark. Also had about 40 yards receiving out of the backfield like Warren does. Najee came in the second half with a couple of late strong runs, breaking tackles, but the running game was kind of taken out of it once KC started getting touchdowns. Warren had the touchdown taken back on the Darnell Washington penalty. So Najee and Warren overall ran pretty well, but again, weren't giving enough running calls and were kind of taken out of the game once the game was no longer competitive. So it's a plus and minus in the run game. Offensive line, I want to quickly just say Darnell Washington and the 5 offensive linemen, big minuses today. Really bad games overall. Darnell Washington didn't block very well. Had 2 opportunities to block on screens downfield and missed them. Also allowed a sack on a chip block on the end of the line. So not a good blocking day for Darnell, and the penalty as well that took our touchdown off the board. So big minus for Darnell Washington today. He's usually a very good blocker. One of the better blocking tight ends in the league. Not today. Kansas City, I had, I think, 5 sacks, might have been more. I know we had 5 at least in the early first half, starting the second half. 5 sacks for KC, plus at least 4 or 5 more pressures. They batted a couple of balls. They got a few balls knocked out of Russell's hands. Forward passes knocked out of his hands. But yeah, overall, the pressure in KC just dominated the pass game for us. They really had pressure every single play. So in addition to Washington, I noticed the 2 tackles especially were having a rough day. Broderick Jones on one side, Dan Moore on the other side, both got cooked. I mean, Karlaftis, they were in there constantly. KC's best defensive lineman, their overall leader on defense, Chris Jones, was not in this game. He was hurt. So they were down their best pass rusher, and they still got 5 sacks and at least 5 other pressures. Like I said, Darnell, but also Dan Moore got killed today. Dan Moore looked like crap. Broderick Jones, not his best game, not his best streak of the last 4 weeks. He's not been very good. So the tackles had a rough time today. Again, the running game didn't do badly, but you can't make up for 17 points when you're trying to run the ball and the clock's ticking. Also, defensively overall, Minka Fitzpatrick, 6 tackles. He's been hitting pretty well and reading screens pretty well, getting faster into the backfield. That's a positive. He's still not doing much in the pass game, and he's not making splash plays, but at least following last week's pick that he made, he was the tackle leader today with 6, and he was hitting hard and getting to the ball quickly. So there's a positive for Minka Fitzpatrick. Also, Corey Trice didn't do anything phenomenal, but didn't get beat like a lot of the other corners did today in coverage. Didn't play a whole ton, but when he was out there, made a couple of nice tackles and was around the ball a bit. So I like seeing Corey Trice play. I think he should be out there right now instead of James Pierre. Trice is still young and green and hasn't played all that much. But he's shown a couple of sparks when he's been in there. He can cover. He's got a couple picks this year. He can hit. I think he should be the young experimental guy that's out there because you know what Pierre can do already, and you've seen him get beat for multiple seasons already. So I think Troy should be out there more. Negatives, Dante Jackson, he was back in this game this week. Good to see him back, but he got beat pretty bad. Got burnt on a 40 or 50 yard downfield bomb to Justin Watson, who's not really, he's not a slow guy, but he's not known as a burner necessarily. He's not really an impact receiver for the most part. He absolutely just burned a one-on-one play on Dante Jackson. Jackson also got beat several times around the edge on taking bad angles on the Xavier Worthy. He got beat by Worthy a couple times, taking poor angles and just getting beat on little screens and little flip outs to the receivers. Not a good day for angles or for speed for Dante Jackson. James Pierre got beat on the touchdown to Watson on that same drive. Also got beat a few more times in trying to cover Watson and I think covering in the middle of the field as well. Juju beat him on a slant. And, overall, KC just inflated their numbers today. They had Kelsey with 8 catches. They had 6 or 7 catches out of Worthy. They had the big one and the touchdown from Watson. They had some stuff from Juju. Good to see Juju making plays out there. Love Juju. But, yeah, they were just all beating us. And that's without, Rashee Rice being out for the season. Hollywood Brown had a couple slants on us. He's back in there. So all in all, just Jackson and Pierre got their butts kicked today. Negative from Peyton Wilson trying to cover Kelsey. Kelsey, of course, still an elite tight end, one of the best in the game. He's a Hall of Famer in the future. Slowed down exponentially, not as big this year as he has been in the past, but beat the hell out of us today. Queen had a hard time covering. Did have 5 good tackles, was good in the run game, but had a hard time covering today. Peyton Wilson got victimized by the tight ends today. I don't think Noah Gray did much, but Kelsey was abusing Wilson out there. I'm going to give TJ Watt another negative for the second game in a row. He was double-teamed and chipped a little bit today, but he had some one-on-one opportunities, and he was getting blocked by a guy that's been getting moved all around KC's line this year, and TJ wasn't getting much pressure whatsoever. Did get a nice batted ball in there once, but aside from that one play, didn't get much. One nice tackle for a loss in the run game, one batted ball in the pass game, but no other quarterback pressures or sacks for TJ. That being said, might as well throw Highsmith in there as well because he didn't get anything either. When this team is down their best cover guy and their second best cover guy is getting beat deep and their linebackers can't cover the tight ends and they're not stopping anybody. They're getting no pressure. The way to beat good teams, especially good quarterbacks, is pressure. We used to always say the way to beat Tom Brady and Peyton Manning was pressure. Same for Patrick Mahomes. You got to pressure. If you're not getting sacks, you're not getting splash plays, and you're not getting pressure, you're not going to beat that team. And we didn't. Special teams. Once again, got to say Mark Robinson, second game in a row with a forced fumble. He got one on special teams this time. Really nice play, hitting the ball. He's made himself a nice little season. Came in on defense the last couple of weeks. Had a nice tackle for a loss 2 weeks ago. Had a forced fumble on defense last week. Has had multiple special teams forced fumbles and big tackles this season. Mark Robinson really, really carving a niche out as our fourth inside linebacker. Making enough plays to keep himself around. Good for him. Chris Boswell, 1 for 1. Did doink a field goal attempt that was penalized, so he got a second chance, made the field goal. Good for Bos, 1 for 1. Corliss Waitman, he gets a negative today. Not a good game for him. 4 punts for 178 yards, a 44.5 yard per punt average, and none of those 4 punts inside the 20. One of his worst games of the year. Nothing blatantly shanked or anything, but just a couple short punts and wasn't really effective in trying to pin back KC, so not the best game for him. Pittsburgh now loses 29-10 and goes into their third straight loss. Again, we expected losses this time of year. What we didn't expect was the lack of effort and just how bad the losses have been. So Pittsburgh now falls to 10-6. They no longer have control of their own destiny in their division. Again, the commentator said just 3 weeks ago Pittsburgh was fighting for the 1 seed. Pittsburgh was expecting this game against KC to be going for the 1 seed. We are now fighting to just even get ourselves into, divisional playoff contention. Where we're in the playoffs. We've clinched our playoff spot. Thank God we won the early games we were supposed to win. But now coming off of, and sorry for the heat in the background that distracted me, but we are now just fighting for not getting the 7 seed. Baltimore is now in control of the division. If they win their next 2 games against Houston and Cleveland, they'll be division champs and we'll be in the wild card. So we went from being a possible 1 seed to now possibly being a wild card and getting no home games. So really not good. Pittsburgh's got to win next week against Cincinnati, and Baltimore's got to lose to either Texans today or the Browns in the last week of the season. Winnable games or losable games, it could go either way, but Baltimore's the better team out of the 3, so we'll see what happens. Pittsburgh has their finale next week against the Bengals. We'll see how they finish, if they finish 10-7 or 11-6. Merry Christmas. Again, I hope you're enjoying time with your loved ones, getting good food, having laughs, and enjoying the day. And hopefully Pittsburgh will give us a gift next week. Tell me in the comments down below what you thought, who impressed you and who did not. Let's talk in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. These Pittsburgh Steelers deep dives, and I will see you guys in 12 days or when Pittsburgh plays next. Take care. Merry Christmas.